Let me tell you about the Smart Tactical Military Watch. I'm absolutely a big fan. Now, I'm not a big watch guy, but my wife convinced me to put this on and try it out, and I've been really, really attached to it. Now, first of all, I want to talk about the setup. The setup has been so simple. You just download the app. It takes you through like 3 different steps. It's a really easy setup. So you don't need to be all computer tech savvy to set this up. They've made it for regular people. The other thing is I'm really impressed at the quality that you're gonna get for the price that you're gonna get. Because not only is it built, it's like nice, it has a weight to it, which means that they didn't use cheap material. It's not plastic, this actually is metal. And also the usability of it is really, really slick, and I absolutely love it. There's very little lag, there's very little interruptions. It works very clean. The buttons are really solid. So it is made with tactical in mind. It's made for that, that rugged terrain, rugged, or usage of it. So it's really, really well made. I'm really, really surprised. Now let's just talk about the buttons for a second. So it's essentially, this is a kind of a power button, not a power button, but the menu button, the kind of like remember the little buttons we used to have on the phones? That's what that is, or the side button. That's what that is. It'll just take you to the apps, right? If you click that on the apps, it'll take you to the app. I like that they did that because this is a flashlight. Look at that, boom. If you're trying to get somewhere really quickly, your kid asks you to get, to get the little toy on the bottom of the car, that is really, really nice to have. Let me kind of show you a bit more about this. So before we go, before you can actually change the screens. That's why a lot of people actually like smartwatches, because they don't like to keep, they want a watch to look different for each occasion, which you can do that on here. So first you have your favorites apps, and you can add your favorites app. You can get to this plus button, and they have a lot of different apps to choose from to add to the favorites section. I just added some games, which sometimes I'm just sitting around and I'm really, really obsessed with this game. I'm really obsessed with it. But anyways, yeah. So there's just these little games you can have. I obviously have my alarms. I always set up my alarms. You got your timer. So if you're working out, by the way, working out with this is really, really cool, and I'll show you a bit more about how that works on the phone, so stick around. You got your shutter, meaning if you want to take a photo, if you're trying to record, that right there is very, very nice to have. This music is essentially a control button to play, whether you're watching YouTube videos or you're listening to music on your phone. This is essentially a control button. And then you have your other apps. So you can just either go to the left of the main screen, or you can click this little button. And a lot of these apps are both the Watches apps or the iPhone's app. Now, when I say the Watches app, it's essentially the apps, if that makes sense. So when you have the app, there's a lot of these features, and they're represented by apps on your watch. So, and I'm going to go through them in a second. But you can make phone calls from here. You can go to the keypad here, and then you can go to through your contacts. Now, I haven't synced anything yet, so I don't have contacts here, but you can go ahead and sync it, and then you'll be able to make phone calls from your phone, and it essentially just kind of works together. You can also read messages here and notify when somebody messaged you and things like that. So it's really, really cool. And now let me talk more about the exercise app, which, New Year's resolution, I'm trying to get into that. So this is actually a perfect timing, because the health, kind of keeping an eye on your health, visually seeing it is really important. And the other thing is, a lot of people have multiple apps for different things. What's nice about this watch and this app is a lot of these things are just on one app, which I can totally appreciate that, and I'll explain that in a second. So for example, your activities is with your relaxation or with your health tracking, like you're sleeping, but it is also with things like, white noise or exercising regimen and things like that. So I'll go through that in a second. But yeah, so first you got your activity. It tracks your activity. It'll show you which time of the week you're more. And I've only had it for about 3 days, and it's already kind of showing me my week is kind of ramping up. And this funny thing is, my previous activity app showed me that Mondays are my slowest, that it kind of ramps up and then it dies down again. So it gives you a total amount of calories you burn. If you want to set a goal for your calories, there is a goal tracker. Say we did 2,500 calories. Well, we could set a goal for actually, it gets further down down the line. I'll show you. You can actually set a goal to, hey, I want every day to lose about, to burn about 4,000 calories, and you can set that goal, and it'll tell you if you have reached that goal. Again, this is essentially a sensor to see what you're doing. Now, I haven't really. I do not like to wear it when I'm asleep. I don't like to wear watches in general. But this one I have been wearing, and I've actually been enjoying it. But I'm still not ready to be wearing it while I'm sleeping. So I'm sorry I can't say too much about that. But the next one is a heart rate. Heart rate tracks throughout the day, which is kind of nice. Now, I used to work in the physical therapy field, and we would track heart rate, blood pressure, and oxygen all the time, and this was really important. But the problem is we didn't get a chance to see our patients throughout the day, or if not throughout the week. But if that's important, and to some people it is important, tracking it throughout the day is really important, because then you might find out that, hey, I have a higher heart rate in the morning, or hey, there's this, when I go to work there's a higher heart rate. What can I do about that? And that's important to just visually see that. So then you got your oxygen and stress level. You can actually measure that. So if you go back to your phone, which I think it's actually really cool. You go on your stress app and you just tap it, and it's going to take a second right there. And now it's basically measuring my stress level, and it'll give it to me. Now, I don't know what they use specifically to measure that. I would imagine it's your vitals, and then they give you kind of a rating, which I think is kind of cool. And then it'll give you kind of throughout the week stress level, which I think, again, it's all part of your health. And now intake. This is kind of cool. You can add how much intake you want to drink, and then it'll set a reminder, and it'll send you a reminder on your phone to make sure that you drink water, which, my wife always tells me to drink more water, and that's one way to have my wife on my wrist, which, is a good and a bad thing at the same time. Now, when I said there's multiple apps in one app, this is one of them. Means you just went from, your vitals, your health tracking, but also now you have your running, your walking, and your cycling all in one spot. You can record, and it will essentially record your exercise and your running and things like that. Now, what's cool about that is that you can actually share those findings on Strava. You can actually link this up and connect, and then you can share all that information, because people like to share how much they ran, how far they ran, and things like that. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. But then the next one, you can find my device, which I always lose things all the time. But if you wake up in the morning, you can't find it, that's really nice to have. And then you got what was I gonna say? A few other apps that you can access from your phone, and you wanna activate it on your phone or on your watch as well. So it's really, really usable, not just for exercising, but also day-to-day use, things like Shutter, your e-card, and things like that. So and then this is the one I'm going to start using. Okay, so for example, I want to lose, since we did about 2.5 or 2,500 calories, we're going to set a goal to burn maybe 3,000, and we're going to set it to 3,000. We're going to see, we want to exercise for this much hours, and then we're going to do it. And if you have an accountability partner that's checking up on you exercising, this is going to be a great little tool. Hey, get yourself some, and get it for your accountability partner, so that both of you can track each other's progress. There's no way to cheat unless you're not wearing. But if you're not wearing, guess what? There's a way you could see that you're not wearing. You'll see this little line here. So really, really cool ways to do it. You can set your goals, and it's just a really good app for so many things. But I think using the app itself for activity, for health checking, I think it's really cool. But like I said, a lot of really good feature, and it's really robust, really one way to reduce the using of your phone, to accessing your phone, because you guys know if you're trying to focus, you want to minimize this. You want to kind of move it off to the side, and you just want to work and never have to think about things. And having something that's quickly accessible for very important things, I think is essential. So that's my review. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I'm not a watch guy, but I did fall in love with this one. So